the most vile villain in gaming ever. We've done the most vile villain in comics. I think it was Bullseye or the other dude that wore all white. I forgot what his name was, but those are crazy. Oh, right here, him. The most vile villain ever in comics. This guy, he is super sadistic. And then for this is him. Now you're probably wondering, bro, who the hell is this guy? At first from the thumbnail, I thought it was the Riddler, yeah, from like Batman, but no, bro. This is the guy from Outlast, Whistleblower. He grabbed me, laid me down, tied me up, right? No clothes on. Tried to remove my pee-pee part and make it something else so he can do something to me because he thought I was his wife. And my schmeat was out in the video. Not in the video, in the game. Bro, the game showed my meat. I was like, bro, what the hell going on? Anyways, yeah, we're gonna go check this out, man. We're gonna see this little video on this dude. I actually don't know like much about his lore. I just know he wanted me. He wanted the main character, bro.
When I was a boy, my mother often said to me, "Get married, son, and see how happy you will be."
Yup.
I have looked all over, but no girlie can I find who seems to be just like the little girl.
Oh, this little part, bro. Yo, remind me, I gotta blur this out of the video. Oh my God. Yo, he took a girl, right? Beheaded the shorty and then put somebody's head in her stuff.
I will have to look around until the right one
yeah.
I have.
Whistleblower was a 10 out of 10 DLC, bro.
I can't believe I'm about to say this. I love horror games. Horror games for me is all about the thrill of facing the unknown, combined with the adrenaline rush of trying to survive against the worst of odds. A lot of the time,
Ted, I want to say I love horror games, but for me to agree to that, the horror games that I immediately like think of would have to be Outlast, right? Boom. Resident Evil 7. What else? Resident Evil 8. It's like specific horror games. It's not necessarily jump scare horror games. It's the ones that make you feel, oh, I think Silent Hill you could probably add to that. That adds some sort of eeriness to the environment. Like it can't just be horror, sound, jump scares. You know what I'm saying? It needs to be more meaningful than that. Where they make you feel uncomfortable as well. I don't know like exactly what I'm trying to say, but I know somebody does, bro.
A lot
I
of
know
the
what I'm
times
talking
I only
about.
ever really feel fulfilled playing a game when it's
Psychological,
in the horror
yeah.
genre. Simply because I love games that can test your mettle. I love horror games where I gotta look for my wife in some nightmarish wasteland. I love horror games where I gotta make decisions that could or could not lead to my own downfall.
I love Until Dawn, and let me tell you why. Your choices actually matter. And just hear me out, bro. That Walking Dead game that we played, while the story was great, it was not decision based. I'm gonna tell you that because there was no other outcomes for a lot of the things. I feel like things happened regardless. Dialogue would, yeah, there's different dialogues, but like a lot of the telltale stuff, when it came to decisions, I felt like the outcome was gonna be the same anyways, because we've seen a lot of different POVs. I ain't gonna lie, Until Dawn, if you messed up, you dead as hell, bro. That was cool.
And most of all, I love horror games where I'm a little bitch that can't fight back, so I gotta scurry around like a little rat, hiding in lockers or barrels.
I want to finish this game.
Escape. This can be games like the first half of Resident Evil 7,
yes,
or Amnesia, or a game that gave me an irrational fear of doors along with the dark called Outlast. If you don't know anything about Outlast, this video might not make any sense, but I'll try to get it past you lickety-split so you can follow. So basically the consensus of the story is that you're an investigative reporter by the name of Miles Upshur. You're on the prowl for a new story, and you receive a mysterious email from a whistleblower by the name of Wayland Park, exposing a place called Mount Massive Asylum for their heinous experiments on the patients housed within said asylum. So
my thing is, why as the reporter, bro, you looking for a story? You say, damn, I like that one. And you know what? I'm gonna go at night. The whistleblower sent you the files. You seen, you know what you saw, and you know what you're getting into, my brother.
Mount Massive Asylum.
And look at the gas. Why are we here with barely any gas, my boy?
Asylum for their heinous experiments on the patients housed within said asylum. So you, Miles Upshur, take it upon yourself to pull up to their doorstep to find that the asylum has been shaked and very well baked. Now, because you willfully trapped yourself inside the asylum to investigate the horrors, You gotta run, jump, and hide from the deranged inmates that have seized control over the place, and somehow figure out a way to get the fuck out of the joint. For the last decade, I return to this game every year for an annual replay, and it gets better every time. It's in the documents that flesh out the story and lore of the Murkoff Corporation.
Yes,
it's in the
this
sound
is
design.
technically why, like, I figured why he would know more, because he does read the files and documents. Because all we know from the villain is that he just wants us. Something about his wife, I don't know. Obviously, it's vile, but what makes him the most vile? So yeah, it's all in the documents, and I'm sure he read it. But annually playing Outlast is crazy. I didn't return to the game because I saw a lot of people play it back then. I didn't want to play it because, nah, bro, I'm good. But I see what the hype is about.
It's
though.
in the documents that flesh out
played
the
the
story
DLC
and
too.
lore of the Murkoff Corporation. It's in the sound design that gives you unbridled terror hearing Chris Walker's chains and thumping boots moving toward you.
Yeah.
It's either that or it's Traeger's snipping of his comically large scissors while hunting you.
Oh my god.
Playing this game, you're sunk into the darkest pits of humanity and are somehow taken even further below that. Investigating the asylum, Miles finds himself faced against one Chris Walker, who relentlessly chases you throughout the game. He's a hulking figure that resembles more of the Great White Shark than an actual human being. And at face value, he's just a secondary antagonist that serves to add danger and tension in your pursuit
like
to
panic.
escape. But when reading files scattered throughout the asylum, and even the Outlast comic itself, you learn that Walker is much more than a hulking killing machine. You learn that he was a Murkoff security guard with almost inhuman-like strength, along with the mind of a child. It was during his time as said security guard that his coworkers dubbed Walker Strong Fat, which Walker despised so much so that it one day led to his psyche breaking, killing 3 inmates by tearing them apart and mangling his own face to no longer be or look like Chris Walker. In my first draft of my script and a flash of creativity, I was gonna do a whole joke about how he's just a sweet and lovable guy that may look like a monster on the outside, yet has a sweet gooey center underneath. Why do I write like that? Now there's also Richard Traeger, a not-so-lovable guy that while under the employ of the Murkoff Corporation decided to use his position to lure women out on dates, spike their drinks, and have his way with them. Now to keep a long story short, Traeger was exposed for his actions, thus Traeger became royally pissed, claiming that the women that exposed him were lying bitches as he then proceeded to stab one of the women several times. That was until he was later tackled into a paper shredder which caught onto his hair, mangling his head, after which Traeger was taken in as an inmate into the asylum and used as a test subject for the morphogenic engine, where in present day, Traeger was one of the inmates to break free and before long had set up his own personal torture chamber in the upper floors of the asylum's male ward, going on to capture, mutilate, and torture countless former inmates, employees, and Miles. Initially, I was going to make the video centered around Traeger because I felt that just his presence alone was enough to convey what I felt to be the most vile villain in gaming. I really wanted to talk about Traeger extensively and go over how he is heavily psychotic and manipulative, and how really the only thing that makes him insane is his deep desire to hurt and kill people, making him a sadist and a murderer. His section is visceral.
I was gonna say, I feel like he's more of a most vile villain, but I guess it's because you actually, like, you know, you get Outlast 1, right? It's a whole main game. Whereas the other guy, I don't know what his name is, but the guy from the DLC, you only get him at the someone at the very end of the DLC, so you don't see as much of him. Yeah, you see more of this guy. Can you restart the video? I missed it. But what the hell, bro? I can't do that.
You literally see firsthand what can happen if Traeger catches you, and it's a fate far worse than death. But Traeger being the villain to go over just isn't the case anymore, because there's a villain in this game that I found to be worse, if not more vile and vulgar than Traeger. And his name is Eddie Gluskin.
Eddie. Hey there, honey. This guy's sick.
So who is Eddie Gluskin? All that is really known about Eddie Gluskin's early life is that he was sexually abused by his father and uncle, who would take photos of the incident. Suffering from something horrific like that, Eddie as a child had no idea that it was wrong. Eddie thought it was normal that his family did those things to him. He thought that it was normal to be pulled apart from the inside out. He thought it was normal that the people that were his family, his protectors, would violate him time and again. In a document, Eddie explained that while his father and uncle would document the obscenities, his mother, knowing what had been going on, watched on the sidelines, refusing to do anything to save her son. Having no idea how to comprehend the madness that Eddie was living day in and day out, just knowing that with each time his father or uncle had their way, Eddie would end up cataclysmically hurt after the fact.
Anybody
in which Eddie
would.
developed a coping mechanism to bury all the craziness deep down that he was suffering from, referring to his childhood as the typical Leave It to Beaver kind of home. Thankfully, Eddie's father and uncle were eventually incarcerated. However, it was far too late to save Eddie. Eddie by that point had already been chewed up and spat back out. He had internalized all the violations, the abuse, and trauma the best way he thought he could, by becoming a serial killer. No matter how much Eddie seeked to escape his past,
Listen, I can't agree with someone's actions, but I can understand them. Him becoming a serial killer, you look at it and you're like, oh, I see. I don't agree with it, with his actions or his parents' actions and his uncle. But like, if this was real life and like we had someone like that or whatever, like what could you do at that point? I can understand. Like I see why he became one, but I don't agree with it though.
Always came back like a raw serial killer. No matter how much Eddie seeked to escape his past, it always came back like a raw nerve, feeling that sadness, that embarrassment, that violation over and over again. His insanity stemmed from the sexual abuse he endured as a child, becoming a misogynistic serial killer, in turn mutilating women. Eddie targeting these women is—
Wait, what the? I'm not even laughing at that, but what the women do? Was it because he was thinking about his mom not doing anything? Would I not be going after men at some point? Why the women? Bro, why is it always women, bro? They did nothing to you, bro.
Misogynistic serial
Get
killer,
rid of the
in
men.
turn mutilating women. Eddie targeting these women is most likely attributed to the fact that his mother sat back and did nothing to stop his father or uncle from having their way with him. And before being incarcerated at Mount Massive Asylum, had killed 3 women in the process. While in the asylum's care, if you could even call it that, Eddie was given a psychiatric evaluation, finding that Eddie had a deceptively kind personality. He is, by and large, very charming, though upon rejected, he can become violent, as seen when you manage to outmaneuver him throughout the game, insulting you for choosing to rather die than be with him.
Oh my God.
Tell me you're okay. I hate you suffering without. What? Would you do something like that to yourself? Rather die than be with me.
I know, Fishy Games. I'm gonna do it with Lunar though.
As he is obsessed with the idea of his perfect bride, to the point where he mutilates people he deems mentally acceptable to make them physically acceptable as well. He appears to be—
That's what it was. So if he likes you, he's going to make you physically acceptable. He's like, I'm gonna make you look good, at least in my eyes. And we gotta remove that pee-pee, my boy.
acceptable to make them physically acceptable as well. He appears to be only interested in taking men and removing or adding parts to create a woman by removing the penis, testicles, and excess body hair, as well as stuffing the body to create breasts. His charming personality often slips when he is rejected, and he teeters dangerously between complimenting his bride's appearance and personality and insulting them. He also completely refuses to accept the difference between what he believes and the actual reality. He also completely refuses to admit that he killed his victims. Refusing to admit that they were dead or mutilated. That's Eddie Gluskin. He's nothing short of deranged, and I bet you can see now why I decided to center this video around him instead. Now, while you could make the argument that he is a victim of his family's actions, I do not believe
it was the video. He I guess lowered it for demonetization purposes, but he said he grabs men, right? And then he takes away their pee-pee and their balls, and then he adds stuff on the chest to make some jugs. Know what I mean?
That entitles him to— could make the argument that he is a victim of his family's actions. I do not believe that entitles him to become a serial killer and mutilate people the way he does. Not by a long shot. But it's in that same degree where I can't help but feel bad for his tragic upbringing. No child should have to go through something as appalling as that.
I agree.
And I'll also add that when forced to take part in Murkoff's experiments, he began to have warped perceptions and delusions of marriage, women, and wanting children. So when the asylum riot began, there were no women in the asylum. So in his delusional state, he captured other variants and brutally attempted to perform sex changes on them. The victims would die before the process was completed, either during the surgery or killed by Eddie while he was driven further into his delusions. But due to most, if not all, of these procedures turning out unsuccessful, Eddie would either string his victims up in the gymnasium or decorate the vocational block with their mutilated corpses.
That's sick. That's when I knew he was sick. Bro, when you died, right? When he was performing the surgery on you to turn you from a man into a woman, and you died, he would put you up in the ceiling like this is some sort of I don't know, like a spider's den or something. This is crazy.
Extremely grotesque fashions. But since I've gone through Eddie Gluskin extensively in this little section, I'm now going to take you through the events of the game.
Yeah. And help me understand why. Yeah, okay.
Starting off, you are Wayland Park, a software engineer working at Mount Massive Asylum for the Murkoff Corporation. After several encounters working directly with the morphogenic engine and witnessing the torture that the Murkoff Corporation inflicts on its inmates,
What's good, Shifty?
Wayland decides to blow the lid on the corporation and its horrific experiments. Upon sending the email to investigative reporter Miles Upshur, who you play as in the main game, you're called in to prepare the morphogenic engine for
Had
an
them
inmate
strung
by the
up,
name
yeah.
of Eddie Gluskin. Making the preparations for the software, you come face to face with
Alright,
Eddie
Kanye.
for the first time, begging and pleading for Wayland to stop this.
Help me! Don't let them do this! Don't let them... You! I know you can stop this! You have to help me!
You have to
Only
stop
for him
this.
to be dragged kicking and screaming into the machine against his will anyway. Now, upon the machine's activation, you see firsthand the brutality dealt out to the inmates, as Eddie's face begins to become disfigured. This is later revealed through a document that the disfigurement was caused after the tubing was switched from a certain material to latex to elicit an allergic reaction. This not only suggests that Gluskin is allergic to latex, but furthermore shows that Murkoff would be willing to go through the trouble of reinstalling tubing that patients show a negative reaction to, just to get even the most minuscule reaction of discomfort from the variants. Truly abhorrent. Also, in the main game's final chapter in the underground lab, the sphere Gluskin was forced into during the intro appears damaged, with Gluskin being very much alive after the Walrider's outbreak. This could mean that he broke out by himself, possibly stopping his therapy mid-session. This could further explain his less than lucid and confused mental state at the time Wayland encounters him, though this is something that's very out there and up to speculation. Shortly after finishing up and returning to Wayland's laptop,
Oh my
he's
god, this
confident
guy.
in his lawyer, Jeremy
Yo, this
Blair.
freaking bum, bruh. The radio, he messed it up. He messed up the radio for us. Right when we were outside, he was there. Stabbed me on my chest or something, but luckily he died.
Shortly after finishing up and returning to Wayland's laptop, he is caught by his employer, Jeremy Blair. He's a fucking asshole. That's really all you need to know about him. And as punishment, Blair has Park committed and forced to endure the tests of the morphogenic engine. So a couple licks at the head here.
Oh, licking me. Hey, yo.
And a few horrific hallucinations later, the Walrider breaks free and begins causing chaos at Mount Massive, where Wayland manages to break out of his restraints and takes a camcorder with him. I feel like before we go on, I should mention who the Walrider is, because this is totally random. Basically, the Walrider is the source of the madness that seems to infect most of the asylum's inhabitants. While appearing ghostly in nature, the Walrider is actually a swarm of nanites, controlled by an inmate called William Billy Hope, who simply learned how to control the swarm. He's also known as the first patient to fully manifest the Walrider. The exact nature of the swarm is unknown, but it is implied that the Walrider is created by the host in their own body, through psychosomatic direction. That's the purpose of the morphogenic engine, turning the cells in the body into nanofactories. I hope a bit of that makes sense, but if not, we're gonna keep going anyway.
Well, it does more now,
After looting
but
the Walrider, you as Wayland have to sneak through the asylum, making sure not to get swarmed by inmates running amok through the joint. Roaming through the facility, you witness surviving guards and personnel try to escape from the newly freed prisoners, some brutally murdered, or some hiding in rooms quaking with fear of being found.
What's up, Menon?
While Wayland attempts to find a radio that he can use to contact the authorities. During this time, Wayland consistently eludes a bearded, cannibalistic prisoner named Frank Minera,
This
who
guy.
wields a saw blade and tries to kill Wayland in many different ways. Little is known about Minera, other than a document that exclaims he was lethargic and largely non-responsive. He also refused baths and other attentions from the barber apart from anesthesia,
Bro, ain't
stating
that easy peasy, bruh. He just one gulped a heart.
apart from anesthesia, stating, "If I cannot partake, I cannot share." His patient documents also mention that forced nutrition would be recommended for Minera if they could not find something that he likes to eat. He wouldn't eat because, well, he craved people. His patient report also mentions that he had a history of smoking tobacco and marijuana. So perhaps he was a chill guy before whatever turned him towards cannibalism, since the creators hinted that he was something of a yoga instructor and an amateur cook on the side. But who knows?
Bro,
so back to it,
chomping
Monera
away.
attempts to kill Waylon in various different ways, including trapping him in a furnace. However, Waylon ultimately escapes Monera's clutches, angrily adding that Waylon was supposed to be his, after which Monera is never seen again. Traversing through the asylum's ins and outs, Waylon manages to find a radio. However, Blair, that fucking asshole, appears and destroys it,
Hates this
insisting
guy.
that no one can reveal the secret of Mount Massive, where he then leaves Waylon to die at the hands of Chris Walker, only for Waylon to escape. Waylon eventually wanders into a secluded area of the vocational block, where a variant by the name of Dennis with dissociative identity disorder captures and offers inmates as a sacrifice to Eddie Gluskin, whom he calls the Groom. Evading Dennis, we're given a clue as to how haunting Eddie is if captured, when a random inmate grabs Waylon to warn him about the Groom.
Quiet! If they catch us, they'll give us to him. The man downstairs. The man. Very bad. Very, very bad.
Oh, that's what he was talking about.
Oh, God.
Chad, the video might be a little low, but
Shortly afterward,
he's talking about him.
walking down to the third floor, our eyes lay upon one of Eddie's vile scenes, displaying his ultimate fantasy come to light.
Yeah, he did give us a warning, but that's him. Oh yeah, I can't see that.
Waylon, terrified, tries to navigate through the corridors, leading him to attempt to open a locked door, only to be greeted with Eddie, who presses his face against the glass of the door,
Say,
smiling
hey,
and calling Waylon darling. While
darling.
initially eluding Eddie, Waylon falls into an elevator shaft and gets a piece of debris lodged in his right shin,
Damn.
reducing him to a limp.
Damn. Why would you do something like that?
Rather die than be with me.
Damn.
Waylon is eventually captured after being lured into a corner with nowhere left to run except to hide in a nearby locker. Eddie traps Waylon inside, where Waylon is then dragged towards Eddie's workshop, where Eddie mutilates others. It's here where you get a taste of his lunacy and also hear some interesting things come out of his mouth.
He's strong as hell though for pushing a whole body in a locker. Bro, how long you think you'd last here, bruh? This game wouldn't exist if it was me. Well, maybe this part, the DLC makes sense because I'm already in there. No, actually, no. I'm telling you right now, I would have quit. I would have minded my business and I would have gone home. DLC wise. Main game wise, I would have never came here, bro. To an asylum at night? Yeah, you're bugging.
Vulgar. And I want to say I'm sorry. I just... You know how a man gets when he wants to know. But after the ceremony, I've made an honest woman of you. I promise.
Nah, bro, you're
Be
cooked.
a different man.
Yeah, the video's low. Do I have the extension? I don't think I have the
I
extension.
want a family, a legacy, to be the father I never had. I'll never let anything happen to our children. Not like...
Damn. Volume booster? I think I have the extension. Yeah, hold on. Basically, what he's saying is he's dragging you because, you know, he wants you. Duh. He wants a family. And, because of how he was... because of how he was when, like, how his family treated him when he was a kid. And, yeah, he wants you. And he's gonna have you, whether you like it or not. And you're gonna do it the easy way or the hard way. But because we were running away, we got the hard way. He's gonna make us a woman now.
I have to wait here. I know you must be just as eager as I am to consummate our love. But try to enjoy the anticipation.
Yeah, this is crazy.
Darling, this will help you relax.
Damn, bro, he hit us with a Diddy gas, bro. What's up,
where Waylon wakes up
Bendigo?
12 hours later and sees Gluskin mutilate other captive inmates through the slits of the locker's door. It's a long and grotesque watch that makes my skin crawl no matter how many times I play. Witnessing this horror, I can't help but imagine what someone in that position
look where he just look where he just put that knife. And not only are we watching and imagining it, when it happens to us, we're right. Like, we're right. We know what we saw, and we're like, oh, that's about to happen to me. Exactly what I was thinking about is about to happen to me, bruh.
Feel like. But shortly after this, Eddie strips Waylon of all of his clothes and places him on a table, preparing to cut him with a buzzsaw, with Waylon's body placed so that his genitals are aimed towards the blade. Oh man, this video is getting demonetized.
Yeah.
However, just before the spinning buzzsaw reaches Waylon's body, a variant comes in and engages in a fight with Eddie. It isn't ever made clear on who the random prisoner is, but my theory is that it's that one guy who warned us about Eddie
I
right
was
before
thinking that
entering
too.
his section of the game. And whether this prisoner managed to escape from Eddie is also unknown, but it's more than likely that he died. So in the wake of that prisoner's self-sacrifice, Waylon uses this distraction as an opportunity to escape through a broken window, breaking his own leg in the process.
Yeah. I'm doing the same.
Once Waylon escapes, he is forced to go back into the block and find the key that unlocks the door to the male ward.
But when you turn around,
Eddie continues his pursuit of Waylon and
yo, this part, bro, this game does so good at actually scaring you, like giving you hope. Like, oh, I lost that guy. I got the key right here. You turn around. But what the hell, boy? Fighting beautiful.
Eddie continues his pursuit of Waylon and captures him once more while trying to attain the key to his own freedom, attempting to hang him on a pulley system, along with many previously deceased and mutilated hanging victims. In one of his notes, Waylon compares Gluskin's actions to that of Bluebeard. Bodies hanging like wet laundry, like skinned rabbits. Men mutilated, hunted, and murdered. The shortest distance between any 2 points separates violence and ruined lust.
We need 6 to read this, bro.
Whatever story he's telling himself, he's not making women to bear his children. He's making women to kill them. This man thinks he's in love. He thinks the therapy made him better. Everything reeks of death and fear. Piss and coppery blood. Meat decomposing to game.
Ooh.
It's an eerie sight to behold. So Eddie, in the process of hanging Waylon struggles for his life as he is lifted, with his weight causing some of the ceiling and the pulley system to break away, which forces Eddie to use more strength to lift and hang Waylon. Eventually, Waylon's weight becomes too great of a burden for Eddie to lift, so this causes a sudden weight shift in the pulley.
Yo, the main character is probably beefy, bro.
No, damn it, darling! No, you need to behave! We could have been beautiful.
Oh my. Yes.
Eddie Gluskin is no more, but the work he left behind will never be forgotten.
Of
I find what
course.
Waylon writes in a document directly after this moment to be most compelling. He's dead. The amateur surgeon.
Oh, these are our
father-to-be
notes.
husband, he's got shredded and pulled from his belly. I'm trying not to laugh. God. I swear to you, I'm trying.
I think Eddie is more chaotic. Bro, he was hanging
As
all these
daylight
people
finally
in
breaks,
the gymnasium.
Waylon continues throughout the asylum, discovering that Murkoff's paramilitary forces have already arrived at the scene and are killing every prisoner they see. Waylon manages to elude them as they are all killed by the wall rider and makes it to the main atrium. There he finds a wounded Blair, lying against the front door and pleading for help. However, as Park approaches, Blair stabs him in the stomach with a knife, declaring that no one can know the truth. Before he can deliver the finishing blow, he is attacked and killed by the wall rider.
This guy, bruh. This guy again, but he's about to get boomed. Oh no, he already did. I thought we weren't gonna make it out the door. Like, the fact that we survived is kind of crazy.
With that stroke of luck, Waylon staggers out the open front door and past the military vehicles, towards a red Jeep waiting by the security gate. As Waylon enters the Jeep and starts it up, he notices a dark figure, Miles Upsher's Walrider sustained broken body, slowly exiting the asylum with a dark mist surrounding it.
That's tough. I thought we were about to get boomed right here. W-Mans. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Good driver, good driver.
It's in the epilogue scene that a fully recovered Waylon has gotten in contact with a leaking organization to submit his secret information on Murkoff, along with all the recording he managed to take on the camcorder. Waylon sits against a laptop with the video file of all his recorded video from the asylum, ready to be uploaded to the internet. With the man associated with the leaking website standing in front of his desk, informing him that it will be more than enough evidence to ruin the Murkoff Corporation. But warns Waylon that doing so will result in Murkoff doing everything it can to punish him in return.
But listen, I walked in that asylum. I saw what I saw. I witnessed what I witnessed. I experienced what I experienced. I'm pressing upload, bruh. I'm not going in there for nothing. Imagine that was the other main character from the main campaign. I thought it was until I realized that, like, this is a prequel to the main game, right? Because he's the whistleblower. He's the one that leaked the information, and then you pull up as the reporter.
Despite some initial hesitation, Waylon ultimately decides to take the risk and uploads the video.
Yeah. W game. What the hell? Oh. Oh, they're showing that after. Oh, what the hell, boy? Oh, this is him from his findings. Ooh. How ironic. The ending is after the main game? I thought...
When asked
Isn't
about
DLC?
the
Isn't the Whistleblower
design,
prequel?
Series designer Felipe Morin stated that Eddie was not inspired by any specific character, but rather retroactively designed to fit into pre-existing in-game sequences that centered around the protagonist's torture. Said sequences were inspired by similar torture scenes from Wes Craven's 1988 film, The Serpent and the Rainbow. From taking a look at the film for this video, I can definitely see for myself some of the inspiration and suggest everyone to give it a watch as well. Something slightly funny I also wanted to add was when answering a fan-submitted question in regards to which two variants in Mount Massive are most likely to be best friends, series writer JT Petty commented that the likeliest duo would be Frank Minera and Eddie Gluskin. I didn't know how or where to add these little factoids, but there you have it. I hope I managed to convey to you why I view Eddie Gluskin as one of the most vile villains in gaming ever.
Oh yeah, no,
I feel
don't
as
worry,
though
I
he takes
experienced
that spot for me, since no other villain in gaming has really ever managed to make me feel so viscerally appalled than Eddie. I think that while his backstory is rather tragic, the monster he later builds himself up to be is utterly vile. It's not only in the act and killing and the way he goes about it, but how he has no regard for human life whatsoever.
I would be shitting my pants right here, bruh. I remember I did this part, but he wasn't chasing me.
It's not only
because I actually lost him. You have to push this thing, and if he was chasing me, like I saw him do that, oh hell no.
Act and killing and the way he goes about it, but how he has no regard for human life whatsoever. Eddie is so lost in his own insanity that he doesn't even think he's killing these people. He doesn't view what he's doing as wrong in any capacity. In his warped view of the world, he thinks he can create his perfect bride, his perfect woman, and his own twisted children at the cost of others. I mean, for God's sake, he manages to fill an entire gymnasium ceiling with his victims, for crying out loud. Even the toughest of inmates you have to evade refer to Eddie as that evil thing, like the boogeyman. Walking into his section of the game, it feels hopeless, and when you come face to face with him, it's like the stuff of nightmares. I genuinely can't express enough how terrifying his section is in the game. You just have to play it for yourself. But I think what shakes me to my core about Eddie the most is that there is someone in this world that is like this most likely. Someone who is willing to tear someone apart, contort them, break them, and mangle them, until they are unrecognizable. And once that monster is finished with them, it never stops. It's on to the hunt again for another, and another, and another, and another. That thought terrifies me.
Bro,
Because there are many monsters in this world. All I can say to end this video is be careful. Because you never know who or what is around the corner waiting for you.
Yeah. W ending. There's always gonna be people like that, bro. Just look at his upbringing, like the way his dad and uncle did those things. Like, there are, unfortunately, it's disgusting to say, but it happens to some kids, man. Some people are just sickening. And we watched videos like that too, where I remember there was this one time, bro, we watched it. It was to like investigate abandoned buildings. It was a while ago. I'm not like whatever. Then they got drunk and the guy stabbed him multiple times in the back. Like, that was weird. Like, he was his best friend, but the whole time the guy was thinking like, yo, this is my best friend. That best friend was plotting to kill him that entire time, the whole time that we're being friends. But whatever. Shout out to the Mullet-Man. And yeah, bro, this is definitely the most vile villain.